Sarah just spent hours on a drawing, but when it was done, something didn't look right. That's because Sarah didn't start out with an accurate sketch. The final drawing was a huge disappointment. Don't be like Sarah. An accurate sketch is the basis of all good representational drawings and paintings. If there's something wrong with your sketch, you probably won't be pleased with your finished drawing. That's why it's a good idea to spend some time on your sketch to make sure it's as accurate as possible. I will show you 3 ways to turn a photo into an accurate sketch: tracing, using a grid, and what I call locating and measuring. Since this video is all about creating a sketch, let's first define what a sketch is. This is what a sketch is not: a tightly gripped pencil creating slow and careful lines. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, a sketch is, traditionally, a rough drawing or painting in which an artist notes down his preliminary ideas for a work that will eventually be realized with greater precision and detail. Notice the pencil grip here. When I try to get clean, perfect lines, I grip my pencil close to the point for maximum control. Despite that, I'm having trouble drawing a perfect shape and will probably end up erasing and fixing things quite a lot. Instead, start your sketch by holding the pencil loosely, at least a couple inches from the tip. This gives your wrist a greater freedom of movement. Feel out the shape with light, loose lines which you can adjust and improve as you go. You may find that you don't need to use your eraser as much. Take your time. Let your wrist and pencil feel out the shapes as you go. Please note, there are many other skills you can use to create a good sketch. This video demonstrates techniques you can use to create an accurate sketch based on a photo. I will not be teaching you about perspective, composition, or body and facial proportions. These are important lessons that we'll get to in the future. The first and easiest way to make an accurate sketch is to trace it. I'll show you how to trace a picture using a lightbox, a window, a computer screen, or tracing paper. Put the picture that you want to trace on your lightbox and tape it down so it doesn't move. Then tape a paper on top of that. Turn on your lightbox and start tracing. If you don't have a lightbox, you can use a brightly lit window as well. Tape your picture onto the window. Tape a piece of paper on top of it and start tracing. You can also use a computer screen for tracing. I often do this because then I don't have to print out my reference photo. Simply tape a paper over your computer screen and start tracing. And finally, you can trace a drawing using tracing paper. Tracing paper is very thin and therefore easy to see your picture underneath it. When you're done tracing, you will need to transfer the image to your drawing paper. If you have carbon paper, you can use that, but if not, try this way. Turn your tracing paper over and use a pencil to color over the lines with a heavy pressure. Then turn the drawing back over and carefully place the tracing paper onto your drawing paper. Trace over your original lines again, and your drawing will be transferred to the paper underneath. Creating a grid. If you're a mathematical person, you'll like this one. Start off by drawing a frame around the image if you don't have one already. Then create a grid by drawing evenly spaced lines on top of your drawing. Use a ruler if you want it to be 100% accurate, or just do it freehand. Now draw a matching frame on your drawing paper. You can use the same measurements, or enlarge or shrink the image. This is where your 4th grade fractions come in handy. Once you've got a frame, create a matching grid. Then, looking at one square at a time, draw only what's in that square. If you use large squares like I have here, you'll need to be somewhat comfortable with drawing. But if you're a beginner, simply make the squares on your grid smaller. The smaller the squares are, the easier it will be to fill them in accurately. Locate and measure. The last way to create a sketch is by locating points on your picture and measuring the distance between that point, the picture's edge, and other points on the picture. It's kind of like finding coordinates on a map or on the game Battleship. Once you find these points, then it's like connect the dots to create a sketch. To start out, I need to sketch in a frame. Use a pencil, a ruler, or your judgment to figure out the proportions of the frame. Using my pencil, I have figured out that the ratio of my frame is about 2 to 3. So I'll use the same ratio to sketch a frame. My sketch is larger than the photo, but the same proportions. Use a ruler and your math skills if you want everything to be 100% exact. Now we look for and sketch in the main shapes first. Once those are in place, we can fill in the details. In this case, I start out by locating the horizontal line on which the house rests. I'm using my pencil to get approximate measurements, but again, if you want to be really accurate, you can use a ruler. Once I have that horizontal line in place, I can measure what size the house should be. I can see the house is in the middle of that line. I can fit the width of the house in on either side with space left over. So that's the way I'll draw it in on my picture. Now I want to check my measurements again to make sure I have enough room for the sky area. I measure from the bottom of my frame to the top of the roof. That length fits into the sky area with a little bit of room left over. Once I have that rectangle in place, I can sketch the roof, door, and windows and measure more as I need. To sketch the path, let's find the points where it begins and ends, and then sketch the lines connecting them. We'll do the same to sketch in the second path and the fences on either side. Now we've got to sketch in the trees and bushes. To sketch this bush, we'll locate the points where it meets the house and the fence. Then we'll just sketch in a leafy shape. Let's do the same for the second bush. To sketch the tree, let's look at where the trunk and branches are in relation to the fence, the edge of my picture, and the bush. Then I can sketch it approximately where the tree branches should be. The foliage on the tree makes a round shape. So I'm going to use a few points to sketch in that round shape. And then I give it a little leafy, uneven texture around the edges. I'm drawing it lightly so it will be easy to adjust if I need to. On the left side, there's a fir tree that's basically a triangle shape. Once again, we locate the tip of the fir tree and then the other point of the triangle and sketch in the tree shape. Then measure and sketch in the foliage behind the fir tree. There are two changes that I made to this picture. One, the leafy tree in the top left side of the picture overlaps the fir tree and makes it hard to see its shape. So I separated them and gave them each some room to breathe. I also didn't sketch in the picnic bench in the bottom right corner. Now we just fill in some more shading, a few details, and our sketch is done. So there you go, a number of different ways to create a sketch, some easier than others. Try all of them out and see what you prefer. Even tracing things will allow you to work on your pencil grip, your strokes, and help your brain to understand the way things are shaped and the way pictures are composed. Don't expect immediate results. It can take weeks, months, and even years to see significant improvement. Expect to create lots and lots of ugly sketches, and that's okay. Improvement will happen gradually over time. The important thing is to keep practicing and not to get discouraged. Find subjects that are fun and appealing to you. If you enjoy drawing cars, draw cars. If you enjoy drawing kittens, draw kittens. Just keep on drawing.